Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Chilltown Hoops. I'm your host, Jermaine. The youngsters call me OG. My friends call me J-Dub. Let's get to it. When we get to Game 7, the entire game plan goes out the window. And the reason why the game plan goes out the window is because at this point, I've seen you the entire season. I know who you are. I know what you do. I know what you like to do. I know what you don't like to do. I know what puts you in uncomfortable situations. I know what you excel at. I know where you thrive at, and I know where you fail at, and vice versa. You know what I do. So what's going to be the difference in winning Game 7? Well, the difference in winning Game 7 is going to be the other guys. And the reason why it's going to be the other guys is because the best players show up in Game 7. That's the way that goes. The best players show you in Game 7 why we're the best players. James, Jordan, Jabbar, Chamberlain, Bryant, Duncan, Lajuan, Bird, Magic. These guys show you, right? Durant, all the great ones. Curry, Jerry West. I can go on and on. Malone. They show you why I'm the best player. And it's my responsibility in Game 7 to show why I'm the best player. And there's no mystery why I'm the best player. You're going to see it. You're going to see why. And it's not going to take long. So, who's going to be the difference? Well, who's going to be the difference is going to be the other guys. Who's going to be the wild card today? Because I already know Malone's going to show up. I already know Jordan's going to show up. I already know James is going to show up. I already know Shaq, Bryant, Bird, Matt. I already know that this guy is going to be here. Well, who's going to be the difference in this game? Who can I count on that I know for a fact, this guy, if he gives me something today, we beat these guys? Well, yesterday that guy was Grant Williams. Yesterday that guy was Grant Williams. And not just Grant Williams. Pritchard also. And Derek White. You got almost 50 points from those three guys. Well, if my best players show up where Jason Tatum does what he does, starting the game going 5 for 5 on the long ball, and I promise you guys, we are going to have a serious conversation in another year, 2 years tops, about this guy being the best player in the game. I see the commitment on the defensive end. He's improving. When the game starts to slow down for him, when the game starts to slow down for him, and he gets that in-between game mastered, we're going to have a serious conversation about him being the best player in the game. We're going to have a conversation about that. We're going to have to. So, when I get Jason Tatum going 5 for 5 on the long ball, early, when I get Jaylen Brown looking great in transition, and our defense is doing what they're doing. I mean, we're talking about a defense in Boston that held Milwaukee to 4 for 33 on the long ball. 1 for 15 in the second and third quarter. There's your ball game right there. And not just in the long ball. Not just in the long ball. We're talking about overall. Held those guys. Held them down. 17 and 21 points. Held those guys down in the second and the third quarter. That's your ball game right there. We're going to stop you. When I get the production that I get from Grant Williams, I don't expect him to knock down. I don't expect him to shoot 18 threes. No, I do not expect him to do that. But if I get that from him and he knocks down 7 out of 18, oh, absolutely, I'm taking that. If I can get Pritchard off the bench and give me what he's given me, and I can get Derek White off the bench and give me what he's given me, that's an extra 50 points and almost 10 rebounds that I'm getting from the three of those guys. You have not accounted for that. And because you didn't account for that, you can't beat us. Because we all know that the best players are going to show up. I saw what Giannis did. He went 25 and 20. He couldn't make a basket in the second half. I thought that they did it. They did the same thing that they were doing to Giannis, but in Game 7, it just looked different. The basket didn't look as big. Those shots, they didn't look as easy. It just looked a lot tougher on Giannis. And watching him, I'm not going to say, yo, he looked gas. Giannis is a world-class athlete. World-class. So, hurting and being gassed, these guys don't want to hear that. And the reason why they don't want to hear that is because this is what I prepared for. This is absolutely what I prepared for. And I was ready for it. We just didn't have enough. Milwaukee just did not have enough. And it was glaring how much they missed Middleton. And I sound like a broken record saying this, but when your second best scorer, ball handler, playmaker, distributor is off the floor, that's going to cause a dent in what it is that you're doing. I did not understand from Coach Bud also why he didn't implement Serge Ibaka into the lineup. Why he didn't have him in the lineup is still beyond me. I still don't understand that. I'm not of the masses that thinks that Serge is washed. I think he could have gave you some really good minutes. And I think he could have made a difference in a lot of those games. I had Milwaukee winning the series in 6, and they had an opportunity in Game 6 to close the series out. But like I said, when you get into an elimination game, the best players show up. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case in Phoenix. That was a completely and utter anomaly. I really don't have much to give you about that. Because like I said, when you get into Game 7, or when you get into a closeout game or an elimination game, the best players show up. They absolutely show up. They give you what you want or what you've been expecting. But when I get my backcourt in Chris Paul and Devin Booker to go 0 for 11 in the first half, how are we going to beat anybody doing that? We can't. We are completely out of sorts. I thought that Jason Kidd did a great job in adjusting his defense. Well, what did he do different in Game 7 that he did in Game 6 and in Game 5? Well, what it's called is a soft double. And what I mean when I say that is when the screen comes, what Powell does is he hedges, or AKA a soft double. So he's going to chase Book off the screen. And he's going to chase Book off the screen just enough and hold him just long enough so Finney-Smith can get back or Bullock can get back. Now, when he holds him just enough, now Powell gets back to his guy. When Book goes in action and he gets to the soft corner, they jump him. And they get the ball out of his hands. Which, by the way, brings me to a story a couple of years ago. If you guys remember, they're playing pickup. And in the process of them playing pickup, Devin Booker is getting double teamed. And he doesn't appreciate it at all. In fact, his exact words were, quote, "Get this double team bleep out of here. We don't double team in pickup games." He said that. Now, last I checked, the summertime is when I improve, when I work on my game so I could get better. And one of the things that I should be working on is passing out of the double team. You know, at that point, Devin Booker I think he was 3rd in the league in turnovers. And he was one of the worst guys while he was doubled. So maybe that was something that maybe that's something that you should work on, right? Nah, I'm not going to do that. So Jason Kidd took advantage of that. Not only did he take advantage of that, he told Devin Booker, "You're not going to beat us. These other guys are going to have to do it." Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, Chris Paul, and I'm going to get to him in a minute. Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, Cameron Payne. The rest of you guys are going to have to do it. Because he's not going to do it. We cannot let him get going. And it worked. It worked to perfection. That offense was completely and utterly out of sorts. It was off balance. And it wasn't going anywhere. And another way that they slowed that offense down was with Reggie Bullock and Finney Smith. They're picking up Chris Paul 90 feet. They got that logic from Drew Holiday last year in the NBA Finals. The Phoenix Suns are a transition team. They like to get out and run. Well, how do you slow that down? Well, the way we slow that down is we got to get in front of Chris Paul and we got to get in front of him early. The pickup points got to be early. And it was. So they weren't ever able to get a rhythm and get going. Whether it was in transition, whether it was in half court, because a lot of times when Chris Paul is bringing the ball across half court, he's still getting harassed and they can't get into their offense until 12, 13 seconds. Well, that's not a lot of time to get something good when you're rushing. And I never see Chris Paul getting sped up, but he got sped up in this series, which is also mind-boggling to me because the things that they did weren't things that were out of the ordinary with him. We know who Chris Paul's been in the league for 16 years. You've seen every defense that could possibly be thrown at you. I think I got tricked, though. I absolutely got tricked. And how did I get tricked? I got tricked by what I saw in Oklahoma City and what I saw in Phoenix. And it completely blinded me to the Clippers, Chris Paul. That guy who had been a part of blowing many 2-0 leads. I mean, he's got 5 total 2-0 leads that he's blown in his career. 5 of them. One in New Orleans, right? There was the one in New Orleans in 2008 in the semifinals. But then there was 13 against the Spurs. Then there was 16 against the Trailblazers. But that was an anomaly because Blake Griffin had gotten hurt. So that was different. Blake Griffin had gotten hurt. But then there were a number of different ones also. And they were primarily due to him. Right? And how he falters in the postseason. But I got tricked by what I had seen him carrying that Oklahoma City team to the playoffs. Like what he had done in Houston. Even though he had gotten hurt, and there was a part of me that was telling me, yo, do not let this guy trick you. This is who he is. This is who he is. He's the guy who's going to break down. This is the guy he's going to wither in the playoffs. This is who he is. Don't let him trick you with this Oklahoma City and this Phoenix thing with him getting to the finals. Don't let him trick you with that. But I did. I absolutely let him trick me with that. And I'm embarrassed about it. Because I was rocking with him. I was. When in reality, who is Chris Paul? Chris Paul is one of the better two-way guard. I'm not going to say two-way. You will not get me to say two-way. No. Chris Paul is one of the better point guards in the history of the game. I think he's a top 10 point guard all time. But I cannot put him in that same category when I think about Magic, Isaiah, Stockton, Oscar. I can't put him in that category. I can't. And the reason why I can't is because in the postseason, when it matters the most, he withers. That's who he is. That's who he's always been. And I got tricked. But I'm back to reality now. I know who he is. What do we do moving forward in Phoenix? There's some questions that absolutely need to be answered in Phoenix, no doubt about that. There's absolutely some questions that need to be answered. And I am really interested to see what they do in Phoenix next year. This offseason, I'm really interested to see what they bring back with this unit. Very interested. Because to get blown out by 40, I stopped watching. I was out in the middle of the third quarter. When it went to 45, I was out. I didn't need to see any more. I didn't. I didn't need to see any more. I could run down numbers for you guys and tell you that how bad they were. But ultimately, they got blown out. And it was right from the beginning. Luka Doncic is a complete and utter pleasant surprise. I did not have the Dallas Mavericks doing what they're doing. I didn't. No. I did not have them doing what they were doing. We're talking about a team that was in 5th place in the Western Conference. I thought they were a middle of the road team. I thought they had one elite player on the offensive side of the basketball and a bunch of okay players. And that works to just get you to the playoffs. That's not getting you far in the playoffs. Only except it is. In this particular situation, it is. When you got a guy like Luka who's instilling that confidence in the guys, which is, I got enough for all of us. I just need you to roll with me. The game looks like it's slowed down for Luka. The game looks like it's easy at this point. I don't know how long that's going to continue, but it looks like that. And they're now in Western Conference Finals. I'm really looking forward to this Dallas Golden State series. Absolutely. I can't wait for that series. And I can't wait for this Miami Boston series. Absolutely. So I'm going to keep you guys posted. Like I said, I'm going to be around for as long as you guys want me to be around. But until then, take it light. But take it.